Hey guys, today's Saturday, December the 31st of 2022. And I wanted to do a quick update on the SP500 or ES futures. I've been doing some research on this instrument. I just wanted to show you my thoughts and my forecast. I'm using data from 2000 all the way to current prices. This is a weekly. So what I like to do, I like to start and see what the cycles are saying. This looks like there are two important cycles here. One is the 388. And this one just hit a peak and nailed it around November, December. This cycle hits a trough around May the 10th of 2023. Next cycle here is the 180. And this one is about to hit a trough somewhere around January. You could say the 10th, around there. Pretty much the first week of January, and then it hit the peak around April. Looking at some of the seasonalities, seasonality-wise, looks like the S&P, ES, makes a low around January, and then goes up, February. I'm thinking maybe February 14, 15, 16, and then it goes back down. Looks like it goes back down into March. I'm just looking at seasonality wise, but these are the cycles in regards to the weekly. It's showing that it goes up. I don't know if it's going to go all the way up to April, but it could probably go up to February and then can, push even lower or kind of go sideways to lower. So those are the two important cycles here. There is one that is it's not as strong as the 268. This one bottoms out around March. There's a date I'm watching for March. I'm kind of having this on my radar, but for now we'll just leave it out. But the two importance, the 388, the 180, and then there's also the dominant cycle, which is the 34. This is a little more fractal. So you see this one goes up to January 2nd. So we could go either sideways, maybe go up, or when January 2nd, 3rd hits, maybe we could push lower all the way to January the 19th. And then make a low, then rally. You see this one hits around the 5th. I'm kind of leaning maybe either 14, 15, 16 around there, kind of tops out, but it could top out earlier. This is a dominant cycle on the weekly. Then it goes back down, then it goes up. So, you just got to play this, one day at a time. So that's what the weekly cycle is saying. Let's look at the daily chart and see what we could get out of there. Okay, so this is the daily chart, and I'm using data from 2016 onward. I'm just kind of focusing on this area right here. So there's two important cycles here. The one is the 303. It's not as strong in regards to Bartel. And you can see that it's up till February the 10th. So, we'll see how that plays out. But the stronger one is the 182. So interesting is that on the weekly, you got the 180, and then on the daily, you got the 182. And they're pretty strong. And this one bottoms out somewhere around January the 20th. So there could be some selling pressure. The dominant cycle, what you see is this one down here. This one is also down until January the 29th. So this one goes a little deeper in January, and this one goes around the 19th, 20th. And obviously the 303, it's up till February. Let's see if we take the 182 and the 184, which are smaller, and do a composite. So somewhere around January the 23rd, around there, that, maybe that second week, it could probably bottom out and then get a nice little rally pop into February. Seasonality says it gets toppy around the 14, 15, 16, but it could continue pushing. We'll see how that plays out, but this is what is kind of showing on the daily chart. Let's look at the other clips and see what we could extract out of there. Okay, hey, so here we have the SPY. I'm using percent of months in which the SPY closed higher than it opened from 2018 to 2022. You can see that January and February are a little weak. March is a little stronger. July is the strongest. We go to 10 years. You can see that January is weak. February is a little stronger. March is stronger. April and May are the strongest, and July. We go to 15. You can see that January is going to be weak. February is a little stronger. And then March and April are the strongest. And lastly, we go, 20 years. And you can see that January is still weak. And March and April are the strongest. So, seasonality, it kind of tops out in February, but, you can continue pushing up to March and April. So that's what seasonalities are showing in regards to the data. So I'm not surprised if January comes to second, third, fourth on there. And it starts selling off. And then kind of finds a low somewhere around January, maybe the second week, maybe third week. And then gets a nice little bump into February. And then you just got to see how seasonalities are going to play. But it could continue all the way to even March, April. Okay, this is another seasonality chart I like to use. You can see that this is what the SES has done. We'll put a 5-year and you can see what the 5-year. So this is typically, on day 1, day 2, it starts rallying. It's, pulls back, continues. And then somewhere around February the 16th, it makes a top on average, 5-year average. And then it pulls back into March the 23rd. So that could be a possibility. 10-year average kind of slowly starts grinding higher. And somewhere around this pullback around January the 26th, around there, like towards the last week of January. Then it gets a nice little bump rally. It kind of stalls around February the 16th. And then it kind of pulls back into March the 23rd. Kind of the same thing as the 5-year average. And then we do a 15-year average. And this is what I'm kind of expecting. This is where I'm leaning a little more, where it could just kind of go sideways and sell off a little more. And somewhere around January the 26th, around there that week, it gets a little bump. And, you can see that there is something going on February the 16th. And then it kind of pulls back around the March the 8th. This one goes a little, you say March 14th. It kind of makes a low around there. And then it kind of rallies. So we put all three together. You see there's something as a pattern. Somewhere around February the 16th, it kind of gets toppy and it sells off. I've been doing some research and I got my eyes on February the 14th, but we'll wait till we get a little closer there, which would be ahead of the curve or ahead of the herd, I would say. Somewhere around the 14th, maybe it could sell off. You can see somewhere around January the 26th, they all kind of bottom here. Either this one got a rally on the 5-year or the 10-year got a nice little sideways to higher action. But somewhere around January the 26th, things just start so slowly grinding higher. Things are getting maybe positive. And then somewhere around, February, that second week, maybe some bad news kicks in and we sell off. Maybe something happens in the Middle East, I don't know, or with the European countries. And then somewhere around the 23rd, it kind of bottoms here. This one bottoms around the 8th, the 15, and the 10 years, pretty much around March the 23rd. And then it kind of goes up. So that's what the seasonality chart is showing for the next 3 months. So let's see how that's going to play out. But I figured I'd kind of give you a heads up. What could be the, possible projection where, prices could go. And also, this is just to let you know, this is just probability. Chances are things could go even crazier and this may not play out. But, if you want to kind of lean on something and see what the seasonalities has done, we have this to look at. Here's a chart I rarely show on this my videos here on YouTube, but I figured I wanted to show you some things for you to if you like to research Gann stuff and just kind of see how things play out in the future, you want to get some tips. Let's look at some couple of dates here that you want to keep an eye on. This is January the 1st. As you can see, everything is moving forward all the way to, that you want to keep an eye on is January the 13th. That's when Venus goes direct. This guy right here. And it continues going. And then on the 18th, that's when Mercury, this guy right here, goes direct. Little dates to have on your radar. And we keep going. And on the 23rd, Uranus goes direct. So those three were retrograde. What's interesting here is that if you see Venus crosses over Saturn on the 22nd. Around that week, around January the 20th, around there. In regards to the cycles, that could be a trigger point, so you want to keep an eye on that. And it continues going, and it continues going and going and going. And then you see Mercury crossing Pluto on the 11th. And then you see Venus crossing Neptune around the 15th. So the 14th was Valentine's. There's a trigger point there, 14, 15. And also the 11th with Mercury crossing over Pluto. And then it continues. And then the big ones that's coming up is going to be, actually there's even Mercury transiting, crossing over Saturn on March the 2nd. But the one I wanted to show you, which is important, which would be March the 7th. That's when Saturn enters Pisces. So that's a big energy change, shift, whatever you want to call it. A big change in the shift of, everything related. So keep an eye on that. That's a big date. Not like, we're going to crash or things are going to explode. Just, things could just have a big shift on that day, March 7th. But there's another one also coming up, which would be Pluto, the 23rd. He enters Aquarius. So those are the big boys shifting. Jupiter's already in Aries. But Pluto and Saturn are the big boys, and that's going to be interesting. If we continue selling off on March 7th, anywhere from March 7th to the 23rd, there's a capitulation, and keep an eye on those dates, because if that's playing out, that could probably be a swing low or swing bottom in the market. Be a great opportunity to be buying. It's going to be crazy and risky if that plays out, but just showing you some of the things I look at. So those are the dates in regards to the astro chart, just to keep on your radar. And, especially the transits, the Mars, the Venus, the Mercury, and the Mars going over the planets. Those would be trigger points, for scalping or for, swing highs and swing lows. Mars, Mercury, and Venus. And then the bigger boys, our new sign. So things could change, and they are changing. So just keep an eye on that. This is one of my Gann tools that I use. And we know that we made a high on January the 4th. It was in Capricorn, 284 degrees. And you want to keep an eye on April the 4th, May 5th, July the 5th. September 5th and October 5th. These are sensitive points within the date that we made the last high. Also, we made it at the 48,000. We found support around October, around 35,000, which is the 180 degrees. So if we fail that, and it's going to be a capitulation or flush down, keep an eye on 32,000. Anywhere 33, 32, 31. Could be a good area of support. I think this could take a while if we could get there. maybe into like March. Those are kind of the dates I'm watching, or months. March is a lot going on in March, so keep an eye on that. What else? What else? I think that's it. Just showing you little things that I use, that I rarely show, but just giving you a glimpse of the kind of the tools I use. We'll go to the master chart and we'll kind of end it there on the S&P. Okay, so this is the master chart, and this is where I do a lot of the calculations and do other things. You can see that we're having a tough time around the 200 SMA, so I just left it there. So a couple of things. I'd like to start off with the computer. I think computer, AI, artificial intelligence, neural net, it's a good partner in regards to trading. It helps you. Not all the time is accurate, but when it is, it is. So it's saying that, somewhere around February, remember the 14th? I've been saying 14, 15, 16. There's a turning point coming there, and then it pulls back. March is an interesting month, a lot going on. March 17. So also April 8th, maybe a fail new low here. Capitulation. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And then it tops out somewhere around June the 20th, pretty much close to the change of season. Then it pulls back, or you can look at it as turning points. Maybe it doesn't pull back. Maybe it continues going higher. And then it stalls somewhere around September the 25th. So you have to look at it both ways. Don't look at it as directional. Look at it as directional and turning points. And then it could be rallying, or maybe it could do a low. But there is something going on around February the 13th of 2024. So these are the dates that the neural net has picked out. We'll see how that all plays out as we monitor the S&P ES into the future. Spectrum analyzer, you can see that here there's a possible swing high playing out here, and then it pulls back into January. Remember January the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Also the Astro stuff I showed you. So there's a lot of, clusters going on here. Then it pulls up. Then it pulls back. I'm using 3 here, so I created a composite. This is what the composite looks like. So there could be a pullback, and then maybe a rally, which kind of goes inverse with the possible March low. So that, we'll see how this plays out. But I was looking at February for a turning point, and then, go lower into March. But it could be inverted. So, it could just continue going up. So we just got to see how it plays out. So this is a composite of these cycles over here. Take that out. Let's do some seasonality here. Let's clean this up a little bit. Gann said to look at 10 years and 20 years. I'm just going to save you time. I looked at the 10 year. It wasn't that great. The 10 year was pretty good. You see that the 10 year, we found the low here. We kind of topped out here. So there could be a little rally, but it's going to follow the 20 year. Somewhere around the 15th. Sell off, and then you see March again. March keeps coming up. Possible swing low that first, second week, and rally up. We'll see. See how that's going to play out. The annual cycle pushes all the way to October, but there goes March again. Low here. Annual and decimal going to June. I also got July in my radar. But that, I'll start, looking at July once we get closer to see how, March is going to play out. Fast and mid-annual, March, a very hot spot. So we'll see how that's going to play out. That's pretty much it for the seasonality. And then I think I showed you, neural net. And then lastly, the Gann square. Squaring this range, you can see that this is the 1/4. This is the 1/8. 1/8. This is the 1/6. right here, these two. So in regards to timing, January 7th, January 8th could be a possible, volatility can increase, turning point, could be a swing high, could be a swing low. It depends how it goes, but you want to keep that date. And then the next turning point would be January the 26th. Remember, like that last week of January? If things all kind of cluster in here, this could be a turning point, swing low, capitulation, whatever you want to call it, swing high, depending what direction the S&P is going, your ES future. So we'll see how that plays. But so far, this level right here, 38.24, is pretty strong. If we push lower, the 1.6 would be 37.11. And then it goes all the way to 36.58, which is the 1/8. The resistance would be 39.34. That's the 1.6. And this is the 1/8, 39.83. And if we take this out, then we have to adjust this and, adjust it as price go lower. But so far, this is the scoring the range technique. Anything else? I think that's it. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. What are my thoughts? It'll be interesting how we're going to play out January. It could either go low, then rally into February, and then pull back into March. And I showed you all the cycles and the computer algorithm, neural net, forecasting, and show you some of the astro and planetary things that are going on. So there's a lot of things going on here. For those that are interested, I could give you some, dates that are very important, but I just gave you kind of like a cluster of dates. So you just kind of get your ears wet, and then you kind of like see how things are kind of all working together, like gelling. What worked, what didn't work, and then you just kind of like build on that. But this is the kind of, research that you will look into. I'm working on a course that I'm going to be putting out this year in regards to these techniques of Gann, all these tools that I use. I don't know where I'm going to post it. Maybe Udemy. I don't know. I'm still, doing research on that. But it could be either like a 30-minute or 1-hour course, and just kind of, all the little things that you would want to do with Gann, and what I've, used and what has worked with experience, and what's kind of hit or miss, but I still use it because I think there's value to it. I seen some what I call anomalies. It's like weird stuff that the more you research, the more you look into Gann stuff, and you take a chart and devour it, you're like, wow, look at that. I didn't think this will like come up or pop up or continue showing up as a pattern. But the only way you get to find these things out is by you actually practicing and studying your chart and applying all these techniques. So that's how you really learn all this stuff. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you like this video, but that's my thoughts and my forecast for the S&P ES futures. And let's see how it plays out for 2023.